Put down that turkey leg. It's time for the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar De Jesus, and his co-host, the fastest netter in the West, JJ Flawless, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Pool Nation Live podcast with myself, your host, Edgar De Jesus. And yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and the famous Zach, the Pool Boy Nicholas. And this week, we'll be talking to Cindy from Aquatic Business Solutions, and we're going to talk about bookkeeping, accounting, and everything there is to know about corporations and setups. Guys, Zach is out today. He's doing a family trip in an RV, but he'll be back next week on our Monday special podcast. I want to welcome everyone to our live podcast, the podcast where it's all pool talk, and we ain't talking about netting and jetting and splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. And yes, we will talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Before we get started today, I want to thank our sponsors for this podcast, the Ultimate Pool Tools and Pool Invoice. We want to thank them for their continued support. John, good morning.
Good morning, Edgar.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, actually. I had a great week. All the winds died down and we did all our cleanups, and this week has been back on track, and feels good. You know,
that's awesome.
Looking forward to next week. We're actually going to take the week off, so fingers crossed everything goes well, and going to get to spend some well-deserved time with the family. So
wait. Did you say you're taking the whole week off?
I am going to take the whole week off, and I've never done that before, ever. But this year I'm going to do it. And I finally said, you know what? This is what we're going to do. And we're going to do it because, you know, we've talked about it before. We bill for the 52 weeks or, you know, in a year. And, you know, there's 4 weeks out of the year that we don't bill you for, and we use that for vacation, training, sick time, etc. But to this day, we've never taken more than 2 weeks off. And that was usually for either the Western show or, you know, Christmas, maybe just a few days, but we always work during the week. But this year we just said, you know, we're just going to do it, and we'll see how it goes.
That's awesome. See, Mama, I told you that I was going to push, even though I had nothing to do with it, but I was going to push for you guys to take some vacation off. So I think you guys work really hard. And every time I call you, you're out in the field, and it doesn't matter if it's 7, 8 o'clock. If you use a spotlight, you're got that light going. I'm going to confess, man, sometimes I feel bad to even call you because I know that you are just out there busy. Mama corrected me. It was a headlamp. So,
Yes.
So, Cindy, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you guys?
We are doing great. We're excited to have you on today.
Yeah, thank you so much to you, Edgar and John. I'm truly honored to be here. So I've been a fan of your show. I've been listening to you guys for a while, and I like what you're doing here. So I'm really thrilled to be on here with you.
We're very excited, and I think this is a lot of good stuff that we're going to be talking about. As soon as I started posting some of those clips that we were going to talk about that, my phone actually started ringing. Normally I'll get messages either on Instagram or text. I actually started getting phone calls from people saying, oh my God, that's legit. That's what we needed to talk about. It's great. I think it's one of those topics that as kids, parents don't teach us too much about, finances, and as we grow up, we kind of really don't like to talk about how much money we make and taxes and all that, and everybody keeps it quiet. But I think everybody really wants to learn and know what it is that they need to do.
Yeah. I mean, Edgar, I want to say
go ahead.
about that subject. I think it is. It's like this has always been like the taboo subject, and nobody ever really talks about it. Everybody wants to know about it, and nobody's ever really comfortable about asking about it. It's kind of like when the new pool guy starts and he's like, I want to ask, and I feel uncomfortable. I don't know who to ask. And, when you do ask some certain people, they get a bad rap and they don't want to help, or they feel like they're competition or whatever. I think as far as like the tax thing is like, and I want to really thank you, Cindy, ahead of time, because, I respect and I understand that this is your livelihood, right? And this information you're going to be sharing with us is information that everybody has to pay for, usually, you know what I mean? And that's the reason why people, I think why these questions go unanswered for so long is because nobody really wants to answer them, because they want you to sign up and you need to call me first in order for us to give you that information. And that's why it's kind of people make these mistakes. And I think hopefully after this podcast, people, the guys and gals out there are going to get a clear understanding of how important it is to have a professional, taking care of these things in your, for your business, so that you can. It's not a matter of you spend a little bit of money, but you make a lot of money in the long run, because there's a lot of missed out tax breaks or things you think you can't write off or can write off that only you would know, unless us in the pool business, nobody's studying tax law and understanding the day-to-day changes, right?
I am.
You are. And it's the same thing with the homeowner. It's like, you go there, you try to do an install, we strive to know the most we can and have the knowledge about everything that we do. We're the pool professionals when we're there, and we expect our clients to pay for our services and our knowledge and what we do. And the same thing when it comes down to taxes. But, I think us as business owners, we need to really sit back and go, hey, look, this is an investment that pays dividends. It pays tenfold down the line, because one, obviously more money to your bottom line is important, but two, just peace of mind, right? Because the stress that you go through, a tax time is like, oh my God, it's taxes, right? And to have somebody who can take that stress off of you and know that they're guiding you in the right direction, I think is pure gold. So I just want to say thank you ahead of time for doing this.
Well, thank you. And actually, that is something that when I started talking to Edgar about it, I had mentioned that, and I said, I see all these guys going on Instagram or, just different avenues that they use to talk about things like taxes, things, that are more in kind of like what I take care of. And I was telling Edgar, you can't go to a homeowner and it's their pool, it's their equipment, but they're not going to know the ins and outs of how best to get the most efficient work from their equipment. That's where you guys come in. And so same with me. I feel like, you know the basics, how to get yourself up and going, but past that, you really need to hire that professional to come in and help you out through, the gritty, the harder parts of it.
For me, finding the right person and this expense in your business is going to be one of the best expenses that you'll see if you have the right person. So I think this is one of those that as a business and you're building your company, you want somebody that's going to be really strong from the accounting side. And like John said, it's going to relieve a lot of stress. Okay, guys, before we get started, I want to talk about a couple things really quick. I want to remind everyone that Bob Laurie's water chemistry certification is going to be taking place on December 5th. So if you haven't signed up, it's a virtual class. You're going to want to do that. You can go to pcti.online and register there. And then next week is Thanksgiving week. So we're going to do our Instagram Live on Tuesday instead of Wednesday. And the third thing, and I'm excited about this one, is we're going to do a special podcast on Monday night. And that's going to be dedicated to the pool girls of our industry. And you're not going to want to miss that. That's going to be on Monday, November 23rd. It's going to be at 6 o'clock Pacific time, 8 Central and 9 Eastern. And we are going to be talking to about 5 or 6 of the pool girls in the industry. And I know a couple of them on here today. So I'm going to give them a quick shout out. And that is Jeanette from Horn Family Pools. It's going to be Lindsay. And Mama, I see you on here. If I am missing somebody else, type it in there. But I think it's going to be a great podcast, and I'm super excited about it. Okay, guys, so let's get started. Let's talk here to Cindy from Aquatic Business Solutions and get into the nitty gritty of the bookkeeping, accounting, corporation setup. And I think one of the biggest questions that is going to be out there is what I can write off on my taxes. So, Cindy, before we start bombarding you with all these questions, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into accounting for the pool service industry and created your Aquatic Business Solutions.
Well, it all started. So I went to college, and I got my degree in accounting, finance, corporate management, and I thought that for the rest of my life I would just be in corporate America. But one night my husband and I were hanging out with our good friends Roy and Erica, and Roy actually he is a pool business owner. He has so-called pool sharks here in Southern California, and Erica and I were talking because they were getting ready to go on their anniversary trip. I believe it was their 11th anniversary trip. And so she was looking for a way to get Roy some relief, because he's always tied to his phone, answering emails, sending out invoices, and just not being able to fully relax while he's on vacation, with his wife. So as we're talking, my husband overhears our conversation and blurts out, "Well, Cindy can help with that." And so, and Roy rightfully was a little skeptical, and he was like, "Well, do you know QuickBooks? Do you know this? Do you know that?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I went to school for. That's what that's my passion. That's what I want to do." And so then the rest of it just kind of took off from there. And, everyone's like, "Oh, the rest is history." But, there's still more pieces to that. So I was working with Roy for about a year, and then I got connected with my other good buddy Matt, who he's Matt Warren of the Warren Company here also in Southern California. And so he's kind of helped me refine my knowledge in the pool business. And one day he came up to me and he was like, "Okay, Cindy," he's like, "if you are going to try and niche out to the pool business," he's like, "you have to be legit." And he's like, "you have to have at least, one micro business, pool business." So, that was his coined thing for me. And he said that he would give me the reins to a few of his accounts, and they would be completely mine. So I had to, schedule the maintenance. I had to schedule the tech. I had to take all the phone calls from the customer and just really get my hands dirty in what you guys have to go through, day to day with it. And I come in and I'm like, "Okay, Matt, that's fine. I have a degree. I come from corporate America. I know how to do this. Piece of cake." It's not. I was so wrong. And it really gave me an insight as to what you guys go through. And so, I don't have that account anymore. And what's crazy is I am still trying to collect on 2 months of work that was done at this pool that I already had to pay my guy for. And so, if I could just take a couple minutes, I would like to just give these guys a shout out, for helping me out and, really taking a chance on me, being patient in all my learning process. So, I really want to thank them for the support. And, in the business, whether it's accounting, whether it's pool, construction, whatever it is that you're going into, it's really good to have a friend in the biz. So, a big thanks to Roy, Erica, and Matt and his family for everything that they've put up with helping me out.
John, Roy is from SoCal Pool Sharks, and we gave him a shout out. Roy, I saw that you had come in. I know you're a busy guy. If you happen to be listening, press that little button. I'd love to have you pop in here and say hi to you. And then I think Matt did a great thing. I think bringing you into the business and giving you some accounts and getting you some insight on the business itself just gives you so much leverage to be able to have an upper hand in this industry.
Yeah. And, it was really helpful to see that side of it because when I would help out with Roy, I was always on the back end. Roy did everything. Oh, I have my feet.
Sorry, that was Roy. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. With his customers, with his guys going out on the field, I was just in the back office processing paperwork and, doing that part of it. So working with Matt did help in me seeing it kind of firsthand. And I did eventually go up to him and I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to do what I know best and I'm going to stick to accounting because that's where my strengths are and that's where I'm going to stay.
That's great. Hey, let me try to bring Roy here in real quick.
Okay.
Roy, are you there?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I'm going to try to pull over because this truck is very noisy.
Roy, I wanted to say thank you because I know that you've kind of brought Cindy into the industry and got her in. And me talking to Cindy, I could tell that experience of her being specifically into the pool industry is really going to give her a leverage in her business that she's setting up.
Yeah, definitely so. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. She's been an asset to me. Like I said, or like she said, that was back 3 years ago. We just finished celebrating our 14th anniversary. So it's been 3 years since she started with me. And yeah, I mean, from day one, teaching her how I like to run things, it's been a challenge because I do things very meticulously, especially when it comes to my books and invoicing and things like that. I do things a lot different than most, I think. But she's been patient with me, and I guess that goes both ways to be able to get it done. But now I don't even have to send an invoice, accept payments, nothing like that. She does all my estimating, everything for me. So she's definitely helped me streamline things and took off a lot of stress when it comes to all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a big stress. Now, what would you recommend to somebody that's starting? And so if you look back at where you were, at least whether it's, have somebody do your billing or your accounting, what would you tell them? Because I know a lot of guys are hesitant to put the expense to do the bookkeeping, but how much of a change has that been for your business?
You guys will laugh at this, I'm sure. I love to play online video games. So Cindy used to laugh at this, man, because I would get home from, 12 or 15 hour day of work and then go up. It's the 30th or the 31st. It's time to do my billing. So I would literally play video games all night long just to be able to keep my mind, awake, basically, keep entertained. And then in between playing games, I would send all my invoicing out. So I'd stay up till sometimes 5 a.m, from 9 o'clock at night till 5 a.m, just doing all my billing like that. That's what it was costing me because I'm not an inside guy. I'm not used to sitting behind a desk and doing all that type of stuff. So she is keeping me to be able to sleep at night. We'll put that down as number one. But it was costing me so much time in that sense because I also hate having to do any paperwork that I would just dread doing my billing. I mean, sometimes I would wait 2 or 3 weeks into the following month and I'm like, I still haven't done it. And that's when she eventually was just like, you know what? I need to just take over at this point. I think, even for guys starting out, even if it's something as simple as a consult with an accountant or Cindy specifically to help out in figuring out, what it actually will cost based on the amount of customers they have, the amount of workload that's there. It's definitely something that I've seen up to this point is worth the investment.
That's great feedback there. I kind of went through the same thing, Roy, when I used to do my billing for all my pools. I dreaded it and I always left it for the last minute until eventually I did find somebody to do the work for me. And then I'm like, man, you're worth every penny.
Exactly.
All right, Roy. Well, I appreciate you calling in and connecting. I know that you're busy and I watch your Instagram page with all those big installs and stuff that you do. So we're always keeping an eye on those nice pools that you do too, by the way.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
So thanks for calling in and we'll continue here. Thanks. We'll talk soon.
All righty. Take care.
Bye.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. So I wanted to bring Roy in. I had kind of tried to connect with him a couple times. So, all right, Cindy.
I think to connect with him because he's always so busy, always out working and on the road. So, and it's funny that he said when I finally took over because him being, wanting to really have like his hands in everything. that's what would happen is he was like doing all these installs and trying to bill them out and doing it from his phone. And I was like, you know what? Just text me the information as soon as you're done with an install, and then I'll handle it, in the office, because he was like trying to do it all, and that's, I get it. All these guys out there are trying to do it all, but that's where, like you said, it's a good investment in having someone to back you up and, help you with that part of it.
Yeah,
yes.
for sure. And Cindy, your story is a pretty neat story that you have. And, to a certain extent, it kind of gives you a little bit of street cred. And I understand, your background in that and why you did what you did, because it's one thing to learn something, and it's one thing to experience something, or somebody tells you this is how it is for a pool guy, but to actually experience it kind of opens your eyes to it and makes you a little bit more qualified, actually, in my opinion, to help somebody like us out. So, Edgar, I think we got to really do our thing here and break things down, because accounting is one of those things that, nobody wants to talk about. And, what Roy was saying on the phone was funny, because, I can tell you too, how many times it's been like, God, we got to do billing. We usually do billing the week before the end of the month. And then we expect payment on the first of the month. And I can't tell you how many times we've just gotten busy over and over again. It's like, oh my God, we got to do billing. 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 And it just gets day after day after day after day after day. And it just gets so stressful, right? And the last thing I want to do, the absolute last thing I want to do is sit and do billing. And if it wasn't for Mama, because she handles all that for me, but her just trying to get me down on the couch so we can sit down and go through every single customer, right? Because we have a lot of things in place to make our billing a lot pretty smooth. But, there's just so many things that we do on a day-to-day basis that we forget to add on and do. And Mama has to sit there and talk to me. She's okay. And we sit there for like 3 hours, and it's the worst time of my life. It really is. It's the worst time of my life where I have to sit there. I'll do it. I'll install it. I'll clean it. I'll fix it. I'll diagnose it. But do not ask me to figure out, this is that. I don't want to do it. I'm home. I want to shut my mind off. But, Janie plugs through it, and she understands it, and she helps me with it. So I get it, when it comes down to it. So, this thing is like something that nobody wants to talk about, right? And everybody wants to say that everything's great or they got it all handled, but they don't, So I think we really got to dig deep on this.
I'm going to agree with you. It really is a topic that nobody likes to talk about, but guys and girls out there, it's going to be such a stress reliever to have a good system in place. And it gets to the point, John, where you get so big that you have to realize as a company that you can't do everything. And at that point, the smartest thing that you could do is make an investment to hire somebody to manage that part of your business. And it's going to make your life so much easier to be able to do that. What I want to do is, Cindy, kind of now get into the nitty gritty of it and really kind of start jumping down into those questions. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think so too. So Cindy, since this is a topic that people don't like to talk about, we want to try and cover everything here. So about billing and the accounting process. So if I want to start with some basics, let me start with this question. What is bookkeeping? Just plain and simple.
I was sitting down trying to write all my notes, and I was like, wow, accounting really is boring. I totally agree why all these guys don't want to do it. And, I'm writing my notes, and it's like, profit and loss and cash flow and balance sheets. And I'm like, okay, how are these guys going to make what I do sound remotely interesting? But this is a good start. So bookkeeping is basically just the clerical side of accounting. So it's all recordings of your day-to-day transactions. The biggest thing is keeping detailed and organized records of the business transactions that you're doing. Most of this is done by softwares like QuickBooks and FreshBooks, things like that. And sometimes, a skilled like clerical worker. But it's not typically done by an accountant.
Okay, so on the flip side, what is accounting? Because I think a lot of people think it's the same thing, bookkeeping and accounting. So is there a difference?
There is, and this is actually where I come in. And so the objective of accounting is to provide information to you, the business owner, the people that have like high stakes in the business. So what I like to say is that accounting is not an end, but rather it's the means to an end. So what I'm trying to say is that The final product of accounting is the information that is used to make those big decisions. Should I buy a pool room? Should I invest in marketing? Should I get, that nice new truck? Or should I hire a pool tech to help me out? So accounting is the decision that's enhanced by using all the information from the record keeping of bookkeeping. So that's the difference.
Specifically, what is going to be the difference between the two, between the bookkeeping and the accounting?
Okay, I love this question. So accounting is my passion, and I enjoy both sides of the financial language. And many believe that the work of a professional accountant consists of all this day-to-day bookkeeping. But that's not the biggest investment that you're making in your accountant, because bookkeeping has the role of everyday transactions, but your accountant is involved with interpreting that information. So that's where the real challenge is, and that's where I think, my buddy was trying to get me to understand that, yes, I know the ins and outs of accounting, but I need to understand your industry. So I need to be, as your accountant, and the role of that is your trusted advisor. I need to know your product. I need to know how you perform that and use those products. And that way I can help you resolve those complex, financial issues. I can help you in predicting the results for future income of your business. And so really I'm in your corner, helping you achieve those goals through all the processes of bookkeeping. Does that make sense?
Yes. So basically, for the guys out there, the bookkeeping is kind of going to be what they do, right? The sending out of the invoices, the receiving of the payments, the entering it into the software, they're tracking it from there. And that's the end of the bookkeeping, right? The day-to-day transaction, where the accounting is going to be more of grabbing all that data and being able to spit it out on a sheet where the business can make decisions, whether they're making money, whether they're not making money, whether they're making enough money. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Perfect.
So I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions out there with regards to bookkeeping and accounting, is that people think, oh, if I have a bookkeeper, that's what it is. But it's really not. Your bookkeeper is going to be that day-to-day person doing your billing, entering your payments. Basically, almost think of it as somebody that you're hiring on an hourly basis to kind of come in and plug all that stuff in for you. But there's still accounting work. And then an accountant, a true professional, is going to be able to get all that information and put it together in a way that that business owner can use that information to make any other business decisions. So let me ask you this, Cindy, with your experience, what would be maybe a basic setup that you would tell the pool guys to have when they start in the business and they're starting to do their billing?
Yeah, and just going back on the last question, I wanted to just add that that's the biggest thing, is finding someone that's in your niche. Because you might go to an accountant, he has his fees based on what he charges, the plumber. And he knows that industry in and out, but you want somebody that knows your industry in and out. And I just wanted to add that. But for a basic setup, the best system is that you need to have a system. I know guys that when they first start out, they're sending invoices, using Word docs one week, writing them down on a piece of notebook and just handing it to the customer, and not really having like a numbering system or any type of like organization for their invoices. Actually, I have this crazy story of this one guy who ended up having like $13,000 in checks just sitting on his desk without depositing them because he didn't know where to apply them. And so one day he almost had a panic attack because he couldn't find that stack of checks. So personally, I use QuickBooks. And the reason why I use QuickBooks is the majority of the pool guys that I work with are already on QuickBooks. So like I mentioned earlier, I come from a corporate background. So I know a lot of different accounting softwares out there. But even within the pool business, you guys have these systems like Skimmer or Pay the Pool Man. So whatever system, you're comfortable with, that's what you want to run with. Your accountant should be flexible to learn your system and then offer improvements on it and maximize your potential. And then just, a quick tip is if you're starting out and you're starting out with your invoices, don't start with, invoice number 1 or invoice number 100. Everyone's going to know that you're a brand new guy. You're brand new to your business. So, choosing an invoice date, and then choosing a date to have those invoices go out, whether it be on the 1st, the 15th, or the 25th, down the road, as you become more established in your business, you'll have more categories within that accounting software, like repairs, equipment installations, and chemical services. So, and then as your business grows, your accounting system and your, accounting professional will grow with you and, be flexible to give you what you need and give your business what it needs.
What would you recommend about cash flow? I think this is one of the things that the terms that gets thrown out there, but nobody ever talks about it, because as soon as you start throwing the word cash flow, people kind of bring that same blank stare. Maybe you can explain to the guys what cash flow is.
Okay, sure thing. Cash flow is the total amount of cash coming into and out of your business. I bore you yet?
No, that's the good stuff.
So anyways, at the most basic level, this is your ability to make enough money to pay for your obligations. So whether that's the guys that are out cleaning your pools for you, your chemical bills, your parts and equipment from your local pool supplier, or any subcontractor work that you might not want to do yourself, like Mr. I don't do Deco Seal. So those guys, you absolutely need to have enough money left to pay yourself and maintain a profit in the business. A good analogy, just to kind of help you guys out, it's like keeping that pump prime, right? So sometimes you're at a job and the pump, just keeps losing the prime, right? You start the prime up and then it loses it again. And so that could be pretty frustrating to you guys. And so it's the same thing with your cash flow. 1 week you're flush, you're bringing in, a good amount of cash. And then the next week you're back down again and you're rushing to look through your books and you're like, what did I not bill out? What did I miss? So, when that happens, you need to start looking at what's going on, right? You need to look at the pump lid gasket. You need to make sure the high temp unions are on tight and really dig into what's going on, because you might need to hire somebody that is professional and can really look into the deeper stuff. And so that's where I would come in. So I would be like that leak detection service, right? So I'll sit there and I'll analyze your billing, I'll analyze your collections, and I'll help you find, the leaks. Maybe it's too many trips to Starbucks. Maybe it's, not paying certain things on time, so you're ending up paying all these late fees on it. Or it's, something simple to where you need to have a better system of when you're sending out those invoices so that your invoice goes out and your payments come in, within a reasonable time for you to catch up on all these other cash outflows that are happening.
Yes,
John,
I think Yeah.
John, I don't know if I'm more impressed with the analogy, and I think it was a perfect analogy, by the way, with regards to the cash flow and explaining it, or the fact that she was able to tell you what was it that you were going to check when that pump isn't priming.
All right. I was like, I dig it. So,
I dug it.
Look, so I think, and it brings a good point. It kind of tags on to what we were talked about at the beginning, the difference between bookkeeping and accounting. I think a lot of people sometimes get into the misconception that, hey, look, oh yeah, I'm doing filter cleans, or I'm selling this, I'm installing pumps, I'm installing heaters, I got all this money coming in, and I'm doing this, and at the end of the month, you're looking at your bank balance and you go, oh, I got good. But then at the end of the month, You got all these bills that are due, right? Or at the end of the year, you got taxes that are coming and you're not, that's where the accountant really comes into play and saying, hey, look, okay, great, you're doing all this business, but all this does not matter if you're not making any money, right?
Right.
If you're not making the proper margins, if you're not taking into account all those back end expenses that you might not see that month, but you will incur 3 or 4 months down the road. That's where accounting comes into play and helps give you a holistic view on your business so that you can make proper business decisions, so that you're able to price your products accordingly. You're able to price your services accordingly. You're able to price your labor accordingly, and et cetera. Cindy, I want to ask you this. For the new guys, when they're starting out, I think one of the biggest roadblocks people get to, especially when they're doing service and they're starting out and they're just doing servicing pools and they're starting to grow. And every pool guy that wants to grow their business or pool gal that wants to grow their business, they come to a point where they start dipping into the repair business and they start dipping into the install business. And one of the biggest things that I hear from people, and I know that people experience, is they hit a wall where, it's a whole, you got to fake it until you make it. And you're this new pool service company, you're doing it. And the customer says, yeah, I want a new pump. And you know what? Let's get a heater and just do this or do that or whatever. And you got a new equipment pad you're putting in. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, okay, we're going to do it. And now all of a sudden you have $6,000 worth of expenses that you got to pull out of your pocket in order to, you have to basically finance it for the customer. What do you think, or how can they manage their cash flow, or what is the best way to set it up so they don't have a cash flow problem when they reach that point where they have to fit the bill, for however many days, whether it's 10 days, 5 days, 15 days, 30 days, and have to take that step to where they're now offering, they're selling products, not only just service.
This is where, again, organization is big, because you really need to set a date for when you're going to be doing certain things. Also, something simple as have that service agreement with you. Have a service agreement, and what I like to do is I like to put in there an option for auto pay, because auto pay is a key player in that. That way, as you're billing out these things, you're billing out for your monthly service, or you're billing out for your repairs, you're billing out for your filter cleans. Either auto pay is going to help you bring in that cash faster. The other thing is, going back to my story of the guy that just invoiced whenever and however, again, same thing, pick a date and stick to that date. And eventually what we did with him is we actually ended up setting him up on 2 separate invoicing dates. We looked at all of his accounts, and so some of his accounts are invoiced on the 1st, and then other of his accounts are invoiced on the 15th. He also has a few that are just low maintenance fountains that what we do with those is we invoice them at a quarterly basis. So there's really a lot of different things, a lot of different avenues that you can do in your billing alone to get that nice stream of cash flow, and most of your bills that you have to pay will fall somewhere between, the first and the end of the month. So having those invoices that go out on the 1st, having those invoices that go out on the 15th or the 20th or, what have you, will help you to where there's always money. There's this term in accounting that says like just in time. So you'll have just in time cash to pay for your bills until you can, we can go back to really dissecting where that leak is. That will at least help you out and get that cash flowing into your business so that you can pay for these expenses that you're incurring.
That information right there is gold. Absolute gold. Hey guys, let's take a quick second to take a word from our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll jump right back in.
The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision-crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools.
Let me jump to the next question. And I think this might be a little bit more of a basic question, but I think a lot of people don't give it a lot of thought. I want to talk about bank accounts. Really kind of get the guys to understand what it is that you need from your bank and from a business bank account.
So the biggest thing is, like we were saying, is getting those auto pays. So you are going to want your bank to be able to have like some sort of credit card processing for your account if your accounting software doesn't have it. Another big thing is low monthly fees, ease of access, and a willingness for that bank to help their small to medium-sized business clients. One thing that you might also want to consider is having more than one bank account. So it's essential for you to have your business checking account because, that's where all of your income will be deposited into. But keeping in mind that just because you see your bank account and it's flush and you see all this money in there, not all that money is really yours. You still have to have money in reserve to pay for those quarterly taxes, to pay for your payroll, to pay for your chemicals. So having a separate account really helps you see, what money is in there that's for the business and what money is going to be for your expenses. Another good tip, actually, especially for those pool builders out there, is having an account that earns interest. So this is really good because as you're doing these big projects, you're getting your invoices sent out, you're getting those payments in, but you should really be setting aside money to pay the contractors, to pay, the extra labor. And, I would say, if I had to give it a number, I would say to give it about 20% of your profit to set aside to, pay for any taxes. And that way you're not scrambling, to pay on, these things at the end of the year or in April, when you get that big IRS bill.
So if I'm a smaller business, what type of bank should I use? 'Cause obviously, we've got credit unions and you got the big banks with Wells Fargo's and Bank of America. So do you think that somebody that's new starting, there is a difference between one of those banks, or does it matter? Maybe it doesn't.
There is a difference. So I really like this question too. Both of them have their perks, the big banks, the local banks, the credit unions. And if you're starting out, a big bank like Wells Fargo or even Chase, they offer amazing products for small businesses and small business loans and really help you gain that business credit so that you can apply for, bigger things along the way, like, that big work truck that you want to get. But what I have noticed on the other side is ever since this whole pandemic started and loans like the PPE loan became available, those bigger banks that used to hold a lot of perks for the small businesses are now targeting the larger corporations. And so they're helping out their larger corporations get access to these loans. So where a small bank or a small credit union, one that's local, they will help you with your business because they're in the business to help their community. They're in the business to help, the county that they service. So they will really help you and guide you on getting, perks like these loans that are going, that are happening right now because of everything going on and you being able to maintain a good cash flow so that you can pay, the guys, pay any of your expenses.
Yeah. I think we saw that in the first round of stimulus. And I know I know pool guys that did get some of those loans. And I think for everybody out there, it's important for you to always educate yourself on how those loans can help you and if they can help you and if you have a need for them. And just remember, guys, there is going to be another round of stimulus at some point. So I would suggest for you that if you have interest or you have questions about it, that you do a little bit of research on those because those can be something that helps you in your business.
You bring up a good point too, Cindy. If you go local and you build a relationship with somebody that's going to be there and they're going to help you kind of build up your business. If you kind of go big corporate banks, unless you have, big money in there, they necessarily don't really pay attention to you. So sometimes the fees might be a little bit more at the little banks, or you might have to pay a little bit more, but just like with everything, you kind of get what you pay for. So if you find a local bank, or a credit union or somebody that will help manage your account, you go to Chase and stuff like that, you need to have, to be a private client or for them to actually pay attention to you, you got to have like, $500,000 in the bank account for them to even really look at you. Everything else, they really don't care. It's all done by computer. Or if you kind of go local and you build a relationship with somebody and with the bank, they're there to help you out and to kind of get you what you need so that they can set you up for success moving forward. So I think you bring up a really good point when it comes to that.
Guys, can I jump in for a second, John? And I'll let you keep asking some questions. But believe it or not, we're 50 minutes into this conversation. And I want to take a word from our sponsors. And when we come back, John, I'll let you jump in and hit with the next question.
The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision-crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Introducing Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is pool billing software that was created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It was developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice was built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add recurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all of your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer's profile, and it's all at your fingertips. It's currently in beta phase, so anyone can use it for free. Just go to poolinvoice.com and request an invitation at the bottom of the page. Pool Invoice was made for you.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Pool Nation podcast. We are talking to Cindy from Aquatic Business Solutions. We're talking everything numbers, guys, billing, taxes, all that fun stuff that nobody likes to talk about, but we're breaking it down. She's given us some great analogies, and I really appreciate that. Cindy, we got one message here from Matt, and he said, hey, I didn't realize that I needed a headset to call in. He's actually stopping at Target to get a headset to be able to come back and jump on, and I think that's awesome.
That's hilarious.
So, Matt, I don't know if you're listening, but we will wait for you when you come back. Get that headset and call in. We want to talk to you. So, guys, believe it or not, we've been talking with Cindy from Aquatic Business Services, and we've talked business setups, cash flows, best practices, and even what to look for in banks. And believe it or not, we've already been talking for an hour. What I'd like to do is stop here and turn this into 2 podcasts. There's so much great information to digest here that I think breaking it up into separate episodes is going to be the best setup for us. So let's take a break here. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump on our second part to this podcast, and we can talk about business setups, corporations, tax write-offs, and we can even take some questions. Pool Nation, all rights reserved. No part of this podcast may be reproduced in a verbal or nonverbal way. May not be distributed. It may not be distributed in any social media platforms or transmitted in any other forms or any other means, including recording or other electronic or mechanical methods without the prior written permission of Pool Nation.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 8 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Central, and 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or poolnationpodcast.com or Instagram at pool.nation.